Just, oh, I don't think I want to record yet. Okay. So Dr. Manek is an internationally recognized leader in integrative medicine. She turned her scientific expertise to the singular question vexing humanity, the one that we love, the nature of human consciousness. In her best-selling Bridging Science and Spirit, the Genius of William A. Tiller's Physics and the Promise of Information Medicine, she presents evidence that human consciousness has the power to change our world, which I just love. In her commitment to innovative approaches to health and wellness, she seeks to unify her work as a physician and scientist with spiritual inquiry and practice. Related to consciousness and healing, Nisha moderated His Holiness Dalai Lama's 14th visit to the Mayo Clinic in 2008. She's a fellow of the American College of Physicians and the Royal College of Physicians in the United Kingdom. In 2023, Nisha launched her signature course, Rheumatoid Relief, 5 Essential Keys to Living Well with Rheumatoid Arthritis, a step-by-step course for overcoming inflammation physically, mentally, and spiritually. Love that. So Nisha, welcome back. We had you here in the what is it, the heyday of the pandemic, and you gave some really wonderful talk about your book and Dr. Tiller's research. And it was so exciting and so wonderful to see these spiritual concepts coming into the practice of medicine. And I know that you're really at the forefront of that. So
yes,
we're just really grateful to have you here.
Well, Judy, you know, it was 2021 when we were together, and yes, I gave 3 lectures. We always had more to say, and I said, let's have another session. We have more to say. Let's do another session. And it was really wonderful. And I've kept in touch with Jerry Jin as well. And so I'm so delighted because this is my tribe. Mm-hmm. You folks are my tribe, okay? And, you know, people ask me often, Nisha, this book really was for them, for many who followed Tiller, it was really a pivotal thing because they could finally see what Tiller was trying to do or communicate. And that was my promise to him, that I would bring his science in a way that people could grasp and that it would be, oh, it could change your life, transform your life. So a lot of people would write to me and say, okay, so all this subtle energy and intention, how do I actually do it? And so my practice is a rheumatologist. Now I've got some slides. I'm going to share my screen, Judy, and we'll just launch in there, right? So what I wanted to do, okay, there we go. There we go. It's not advancing. Let me try it this way. Ah, yes, we're on a roll now, Judy. I'm a rheumatologist, okay? But when I started to really think about what I want to say today is that I want to dedicate everything I'm doing and saying here to all who have joined us and will be watching this talk later on, because we're all seekers and we all have, you know, challenges ahead. And we've just come out of this pandemic, which was health challenges. And you know, I want people to know that you can overcome anything, and mostly you can get everything out of life you want to. You want to live life on your own terms. So you want to get more out of life. That's what I want to dedicate to, and not just go, oh my goodness, what are we going to do type of thing. And health, we know, is center of our society. And health impacts everything else you're going to do, not only your relationships, your home life, your financial well-being. It impacts everything around you. So it is a high stakes game, healthcare. So where are we currently in medicine? And in medicine, what we do is we look for smoke. We're looking for smoke signals, you know, in all our lab testing, our imaging. And when we see smoke, we know there's fire. Literally, that's what we do. We're looking for the smoke signals. And the medical playbook, in any specialty, you might be in cardiology, I'm in rheumatology, cancer care, or even wellness, diabetes, anything. Medical intervention goes something like this. And it is centuries old. This is how we have always done it. Wait for something to go wrong. Then you go and identify the problem. Then you go about fixing it. And if it works, we apply the thing to the next person. That's literally what we do. Okay, we think we're doing all these randomized controlled trials, but remember, those trials are on a very select group of people. And so we know this playbook is not serving people. And now there's a push to do something called, I'll get if I can get my laser pointer, we're doing something called scientific wellness. You can't see my cursor, but that's okay. So what people are now trying to do is, let's get their genetic profiling. Let's get their messenger RNA profiling. Let's look at their microbiome and all of these things, and maybe we'll get ahead of the trajectory to disease. So I disagree with this. I disagree with this because we are very rooted in the physical form, the body, and we're doing cookie cutter medicine. Okay, all the algorithms, the protocols, all of the guidelines that experts set is still cookie cutter medicine. And I walked away from this, well, sort of, and I'll explain. And in rheumatology, this is what we do. We're looking for those smoke signals, and we're doing a poor job. If you look at the pink, right at the top here, genes, we look at the genetic makeup of a person. And at the bedside, I say, do you have a family history of rheumatoid arthritis or lupus? So we get a gauge. We don't do genetic profiling all the time, but through the family history, we get an inkling. Then we ask about environment. Environment is very powerful to switch on genes. Actually, genes are not really that powerful. It's the environment. It's your smoking. How much do you drink? Did you go to school? What kind of food did you eat? What's for breakfast? I really ask that for every patient. What did you eat for breakfast? What do you think about that breakfast? How do you feel right now about that breakfast? And honestly, it's everybody like, oh, wow, I didn't expect you to ask me that, because it is part and parcel of your habits, okay? And immune regulation, which means inflammation. That's it. Your immune system is always on the alert for all kinds of signals. You had an argument with your spouse or your neighbor, or something happened, your immune system's actually kicking in. It's not just what you eat or what you smoke or what the pollution out there. It really is on alert for all kinds of signals. And that's really important to know. So in rheumatology, when we're looking for smoke, we got fire. We're putting out the fire. These people have swollen, red, hot joints. They're really way on the other part of the spectrum, okay? You're looking at a red hot knee. I can't walk. I can't write. I'm not able to grip. I can't hold my grandchild. This is the kind of stories we hear. They are red hot joints. And when I was thinking about the course, I really asked my patients, what is it that worries you? What keeps you up at 3 a.m. at night? And this is what some of the things they shared. This is just part of some of my research. And they said, I feel invisible to my rheumatologist. I come in and I get a 10-minute visit. I don't think they even know my name, okay? So they search for hours on the internet, coming away quite scared, sometimes even terrified of what might happen to them in future. And now we know that information tsunami is happening. Google Doctor is there. I'm not going to get, around it, but I know this is going on in their minds. They read so many books on diets, books on fasting, books on supplements, books on fish oil, okay, I have read those books because they're behind me, okay? I've read many of these books. Many times, my patients hold deep down a picture of being disabled. Doctor, will I be in a wheelchair? It's a young person, but they're already scared about what the future looks like 10 years, 15 years from now. I saw that in my grandma. Her fingers were so crooked, I'm terrified. Now, sometimes people are doing okay. They're feeling, not bad. I just wanted to know what you have. What are your magic tricks, Dr. Manek? And so they're feeling okay. Yeah, my inflammation's not bad. I don't have too much stiffness. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you with what I'm going to tell you today, you can up your wellness game. It's always there. You can up your wellness game. So the reality is this. Medicine as we know it now, looking for smoke signals in the fire, we do things with drugs. We give this drug, we give that chemical, we look to research for more pipeline and new chemicals, but really that's what it is. It's rooted in chemistry. And Dr. Tiller said to me, Nisha, you have been educated in biochemistry. And I said, He said, and that's why your mindset, your education is actually stuck, as are your colleagues. I said, I know. And that's why I want you to mentor me. I want you to tell me about energy and energy medicine. That's how I really started it. So what does this mean for the ordinary person? Because I know 20 people, 23 people are here on the call. They don't all have rheumatoid arthritis. What does this mean for the ordinary person who's here today? What does it mean for you and me? Okay, well, here's the thing. All of us have at some point had blood tests. There are millions of blood tests being done every single day. And guess what? Smoke signals and fire are not part of that, which is inflammation. It's not being tested. What is being tested is complete blood count or anemia, kidney function and liver function by and large, okay? So the reality check around smoke signals and inflammation is it's really for most people out of sight and out of mind. We don't check SED rates and C-reactive protein. It costs a lot of money. And I'll tell you, a few months ago, I got an email from my telemedicine hospital system. You cannot do SED rates anymore because there's a shortage of reagents. This is a cornerstone of rheumatology practice. So we are running into this a lot. Okay, so what does silent inflammation look like? Because I'm talking fire and smoke signals. What if you're burning embers and a wispy smoke signal that was here today, gone tomorrow? What does silent inflammation look like? Well, if you're tired, fatigue, you have mood swings, you don't sleep really well, you have brain fog, you can't quite think clearly, weight gain, and underlying every modern disease that we look at, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, thyroid, it has inflammation. All right. I want folks to be aware of this. Ask. And if you have any of these symptoms, you're dealing with some inflammation. And let's be honest, wrinkled skin. Hey, gray hair, osteoporosis, cataracts, these are all parts of inflammatory consequences. So we all want to prevent pain and get out of pain. And what has happened, at least in rheumatology, is that about 90% of my patients are taking vitamins. That's what they do to put out the fire. And sometimes I've had patients literally cart in a little suitcase, a wheelie trolley, all of their supplements. And I've had patients take 50 plus supplements, fish oil, glutathione, this, D, C, zinc, selenium, I mean, goes on, okay? And so we're trying to take out the fire with a hose of vitamins. Let's let's put the fire out, okay? And this is becoming a reality. They might be on diets and taking Vitamix, equipment for fasting and juicing and all that. But here's the thing. We have to look at the other part of the equation. And I was in this situation. The reality is many of the doctors are burned out. There's a shortage. And we're talking about inflammation. The pun, I didn't realize, but the pun is right here. We are burned out. And the estimate is 1 in 2 doctors are really tired. And I think that's an underestimate. Mayo Clinic has put out recent data that it may be as high as 75% of doctors are burned out. That's 3 out of 4. So if you're going to see your doctor and you think they're facing a computer, they're tired. They're really trying to check those boxes and get the billing done. That's the reality of modern medicine. We've got to come out of this hamster wheel, okay? So I was in that system and I was saying, there's got to be a better way. And the first thing, and literally this was when I flew in from London, within a few months, I was reading Dr. David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. And he is one that brought out this map of consciousness. It's very iconic. But I was very taken by his work. He was an MD, a psychiatrist in training, by training. So he had his mindset like Nisha's mindset. He had a medical education from Wisconsin College of Medicine. I knew when he was writing to somebody like me. I understood him. And so I went to see him. I saw him in Arizona where he had retired. And I said to him, Dr. Hawkins, what's your secret in medicine? Because you are healing people. His psychiatric practice was wildly successful. And I said, I don't get that. And these are people with bipolar, schizophrenia, catatonic disorders. This is way worse than what I see in rheumatology. And this is what he said. And this, mark my words, was my first turning point. And he said, to heal, you must do all levels. And I remember sitting there thinking, what's he talking about? Do all levels. I want you to mark that. This is a writer downer. For anyone in this group writing things down, this is a writer downer. To heal, you must do all levels. He also said, don't ignore the biology of what the body needs. Don't ignore the chemistry or the drugs. When you need them, you use them. But there are other aspects of a human. And when in medicine, what I was doing was woefully incomplete. To heal, you must do all levels. So this was a turning point for me. So let's look at what this doing all levels looks like. And this is a cartoon from Bridging Science and Spirit. You'll see that medicine here on the left with the caduceus, you'll see the number 440. Hawkins drew up a map of consciousness and he said there are levels of being. This is a foundation for mind being research. Levels of being is levels of consciousness. You can have a consciousness of willingness, a consciousness of apathy, a consciousness of greed. Medicine is stuck in the intellect. We are stuck in this causes this, causes this. You analyze, then you fix it. You analyze again, then you fix some more. You adjust a cookie cutter protocol. That's how we do it. That's the intellectual way. What Hawkins was trying to tell me was you need the other levels. You have to go above the intellect. You have to make people aware of their inner resources, what nature is already giving them in spiritual inheritance and other. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So this was turning point number 1. All levels must be attended to. The turning point number 2 came with this paper, and I've written in Bridging Science and Spirit, there was another paper on homeopathy that I was so taken by, written by Dr. Tiller, and I said, whoa, I need to reach this gentleman. He had by that time retired from Stanford and he was in Scottsdale, Arizona. But this was the second paper, Subtle Energies, which was easier for me to understand. Subtle energies are already installed in the body. But here's the problem. In medicine, when I do anatomy or anatomy dissection, I don't see them. I see blood vessels, I see nerves, I see muscles and tendons, but where are these energy channels? And so when you don't see something, it doesn't exist. It's invisible. And this was a big problem. But Tiller, even saying the word subtle energies, it spoke to me very loudly. I said, he's on to something. I have to go here. And I looked at the paper. It was easier than the homeopathy paper, but honestly, it was still very hard. Lots of equations and thermodynamic principles and all that. But it was a turning point because I wouldn't let go of this. After many, many, weeks and months, Dr. Tiller agreed to work with me. Okay. And so I moved to Arizona. I literally went bye to Minnesota, got in my Jeep and drove one direction, Scottsdale. And Dr. Tiller and I would meet every Thursday, just him and me, over tea. And we discussed all aspects, not just chemistry, but what does it mean to have subtle energies? How do we measure them? What does it mean for human health? And I will come to that. And then we expanded to something quite marvelous, which was intention. Intention. Because intention is at work right now. The moment you logged on here and you showed up, that's your intention at work. The moment I put my intention, I'm going to find out about these subtle energies from the person who even coined the term subtle energies. I'm going to go there. And I did. And it was the most marvelous 4 to 5 years. And, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours of video recording that I would record every 2 hours, that just Dr. Tiller and me. So it was a big gift that he gave to me. But here's the nutshell. This is, I promise, the only equation. But what Tiller was saying is that everything that you do in medicine and everything you see around you is driven by energy. Okay, I can get that. And it's the differences in Gibbs free energy, or G, greater than 0, that makes the universe and nature run. This is fundamental principles. And notice he used the word law. All science agrees on this law. Law means it's operating at all times under all circumstances, no exceptions. You can boil a cup of tea on the surface of the moon, and you can predict at what temperature, when the water will boil based on thermodynamic laws. Okay, this is universal. And so in medicine, we don't talk about energy in this way. I talk about calories, but I don't know thermodynamics, and we certainly didn't learn this in medical school. So I had to really go down to brass tacks, to the pedagogy of physics. And Tiller, he was really patient with me, but this is how we would discuss these kinds of things. So when I came to write Rheumatoid Relief, because many people said, hey, how do we make Bridging Science and Spirit practical? I realized, okay, I'm going to try this. And I'm going to talk to the people who are struggling with the fire, with the smoke signals coming out every day. They're tired. A person with rheumatoid arthritis, their longevity is reduced by a whole decade. If they have no treatment, they're living shorter lives. They have all the complications of uncontrolled inflammation, including heart disease, osteoporosis, cataracts, cancers. So this is the group I selected. And this is setting a very high bar. This is setting a high bar. I see them every day. I know their challenges. And I said, let's do this. let's do this pilot program, and I'm going to share with you what we did. So I went back to those core principles that Tiller said. We went back to not just drugs, but we asked ourselves in this course, what is science understand about nature? And as I just said, the engine of life is energy. Energy is the raw material that makes everything happen inside of your body and outside of your body. Whenever you take a drug, that's setting up a chemical potential. Chemical potential is energy differences. That's still delta G. So you can do drugs or you can do other things. So the key metric is energy. And I also made the point very, very strongly that we're going back to natural principles. You are part of nature. You're not separate from nature. You're not here and nature is outside your window in a tree or the fly or the hummingbird. You are part of that nature. And this separation is artificial. That's another writer downer. Anything that you're separating yourself and nature is artificial. And here's the fundamental principle that Tiller he really drummed this into me. He said, Nisha, energy always flows from high to low. So if you have a cup of tea or a coffee and it's hot, all of that kinetic energy, all of the molecules bouncing in and out, it loses the energy from high, hot cup of coffee, to the cooler air until it reaches equilibrium. Coffee, air, same, equilibrium. So energy always flows from high to low. We don't see coffee suddenly getting hotter. The probability of that happening is so tiny that nature always goes with probabilities. So energy always high to low. Okay. Now this is really relevant because subtle energies, that's the pump inside your body. The channels of acupuncture meridian system is where things are pumping right now. This is why my brain cells are working. This is why I can punch the right key on my keyboard. This is why my heart is pumping. This is driving my nervous system. And guess what? This is why my immune system is regulating. I think it's my immune cells, but underneath that, the energy that's being supplied is from the subtle energy pump. And this is the universal life pump. All mammals have this. Your dog, your cat, your baby. When we were babies, this was functioning. This is a cartoon out of Bridging Science and Spirit because Tiller showed me how to pump this. You can pump this with yoga and qigong and tai chi. But if you don't want to, if you don't have the skill set of, 108 Chan style tai chi, you can do this. And he said, Nisha, you just have to connect the polarities of your body. This was the clue. Your body has polarities. And notice here, the left hand of this figure connects to the neck, and the right hand connects to the sacrum, and the left leg crosses over the right. That's it. That's it. That's all you need to know. This is in Bridging Science and Spirit. It's explained in more detail. But if you do this, this was a game changer for me. Every day for about 10-15 minutes, I lie on my copper mat. Or if I'm really tired at the desk, left hand behind my neck, right hand behind my sacrum, left leg over my right ankle, and I just sit here. And in fact, what you'll notice if you do this is your brain becomes quieter. It's actually quite hard to start to keep speaking if you hold this position. And people wrote to me when they saw this figure and said, I never understood why sometimes when I can't sleep, I just do this naturally and I lie on my left side and then I fall asleep. So I had a few people actually write to me that this makes sense. I have a friend in Canada who also wrote. She's a ballet dancer, a professor in Calgary at the university. She's a dance professor. When she saw this figure, she got her whole class involved. They were making copper mats and were experimenting because you heal. If you have any injury, if you want to get deep rejuvenation without caffeine, Eamon's, this is called the Eamon's rejuvenation circuit, okay? This is a game changer. But here's how I see it for rheumatoid arthritis and inflammation. One of the, you might say, momentum in research has been stem cell transplants that maybe will reconstitute the immune system by putting in new cells, whether it's cord blood cells or harvesting from donors. But if you reconstitute the immune system, then maybe you can get rid of RA or lupus or anything. But guess what this does? I would submit to you, this is bone marrow washing. Goes so deep inside that all the cells are rejuvenated, okay? I know this from my own experience. Now, we don't have scientific studies, and I've really realized I don't think we have to wait for that. Give this knowledge to the people. Let them run with this. This is not going to harm you. And we don't need 10 million people, randomized controlled trials, because nobody will pay for this kind of research. This is already yours. No prescriptions, no drugs. It's free. People, you don't need health insurance to do this. All of you is rejuvenated. Your nervous system, all parts of you. And I'll tell you this, I do this every day. I went for my eye check 2 days ago, and my ophthalmologist looked at me and said, I've never seen this, but you don't need bifocals. At your age, I would say nearly 100% of the people need. I said, you know, Dr. Biddle, I don't need that. He says, I know, because, hey, you look great. I'm just shy of 60, Judy, okay? I'm going to tell you, that's more information than you absolutely need, but there you are. This is going to rejuvenate you because Tiller did this study. Whenever you do Tai Chi and Qigong, you're pumping that subtle energy pump. But when you put yourself on the Eamon circuit, you are increasing that naturally without any funky breathing, without any posturing or anything. You just need to connect the poles of your body just in that diagram, and away you go. You're getting huge charges. And when I first held those paddles, the copper paddles, I actually got scared. I said, Dr. Till, I feel an electrical charge. He said, that's exactly right. The magnetic pulse in you is starting up, and on the surface of the body, it's sensed as an electrical current, but it's actually magnetic in nature. That's why we don't see it in medicine when we put a detector, because there's no electrons flowing. It's not electromagnetic, it's magnetic. Now I'm using certain language which is sort of similar. It's all in Bridging Science and Spirit if you really want to go into the science, but you are being a healer, like a Qigong master when you do this circuit. This is enormous benefit. And why wouldn't you want to do this without prescriptions? And we also know that this energy, this subtle energy, people can move objects, you can heal yourself. And I've had my neighbors say, hey, Nisha, the roses in our garden are just like exuberant right now. Yes, the rain in California had something to do with it, but she talks and she puts her hands on her plants. Okay, we know these things happen. It's not a mystery. That's the power of subtle energies. And those spoon bending parties in the 1970s, subtle energy is powerful enough that can bend steel. All right, so this was turning point number 3. The first one was Dr. Hawkins. Do all levels. Number 2, subtle energies was absolutely a turning point because you don't need prescriptions. This was turning point number 3 because I could not believe that Dr. Tiller, just with his intention, could change materials like water, could change a liver enzyme, could change a living system like a fruit fly. This was his target experiments. He would hold an intention that the pH of water would go up or go down. And each and every time, this is exactly in line with his intention. And I was so mesmerized. I said, how is this possible? Wait a minute, how is this possible? Because with thermodynamic calculations, you know what the pH of water will be in any ambient conditions. He didn't add any chemicals. He didn't zap it with electricity. He didn't change the temperature of the room of the lab. What's going on? But he didn't stop with the water. He went on to increase the efficiency of the alkaline phosphatase, which are the body's machines. These are the engines of that set up the chemical reactions in the body, the enzymes. And just by his thought, he increased the efficiency of the body's enzyme by a whopping 15%. This is not a random signal. This is huge. But Tiller is very, very unusual in that way. He's a meditator. And then, of course, the fruit fly. This was amazing. Fruit flies are the biological superstars. They mature from a larva to fruit fly in 2 weeks. You can really see intention effects in a very quick amount of time. You give them some sugar, you give them their little happy test tube house, they'll go on and make happy fruit flies. And that's what he did. Let me make an intention to help these fruit flies in a shorter lifespan. And it was from 14 days to 11. This is 0.0001 p value, highly statistically significant. So where does this energy come from that Tiller was showing? That's the magic. Where is this coming from? What is the ultimate inexhaustible source of energy? It's you. It's you. It's your consciousness. And he could quantify that and put an equation on it. We'll come back to that equation a little bit later on. This is revolutionary right here. So here's the other thing. Whenever your cells are exchanging packets of chemicals back and forth, that's information. They're exchanging information to make regeneration, that cellular structure, the liver, the eyeball, whatever it is. That's it. Those signals back and forth is informational. But higher than that is your consciousness. If you can hold your consciousness steady without wavering and without doubt, you can make a change in your life. Absolutely, you can. And so in the course, I teach the participants 7 steps to a powerful intention. Okay. And one thing I want to say here is that I say consciousness, but the conscious awareness is really largely asleep. It's the subconscious that is really the powerhouse here. And for some people, they wanted to heal the inflammation. They even wrote, I want to heal my SED rate to normal. They would write that. Another one, what came up for her was not even her rheumatoid. She says, I don't care about my rheumatoid, but I do want to go to Africa. For her, that was meaningful. So you can have 7 steps, but I'll give you one very fast food version of setting an intention. And I sometimes ask my patients at the bedside, what gives your life meaning? That's a writer-downer. What gives your life meaning? It's not even your grandchild or your spouse or I want $1 million in the bank. There's something deep in your heart and you have to explore that. It's heart over matter. It's your heart's wishes that will drive things. So, but in the course, they do get 7 steps to a powerful intention. So how does all of this fit into that thermodynamics? Okay, so here is delta G. G equals PV plus internal energy minus temperature T. And this is it. S. This is the in the brackets. I'm sorry, let me see if I can get my pointer again. Oh, I don't know how to do this. No, obviously I'm getting it all wrong, but I'll just move it down here. So what you want to focus on is S. And whenever you have an intention, guess what happens? Disease is disorder, entropy, disorder. You're bringing order back into your life. You're bringing order back into your body. And if you do this consistently enough, it will happen. And I'm going to share with you some of my participants' transformations because it was absolutely mind-blowing. I thought, this can't be. This is just a 5-week course. How can this happen? But they were so ready. I think this is it. They were absolutely ready to take this on. So, oops, let me see if I can put this back. Next slide. Oops, yeah, here we are. So the new medical playbook, in my view, is doing all levels, doing what Dr. Hawkins said. Yes, if you need to use drugs, you can do that, and you should do that. I'm not going to tell my patient, oh, you got a swollen knee, I'm not going to do anything for you. We do the necessary thing, but I bring in the subtle energies now. Absolutely. I teach them, and then I bring the intention piece. What gives you meaning? At first, they won't know, but now they're getting really, oh, this is how Dr. Manek speaks, and they're ready, okay? And the camera, we are ready. We're doing all levels. And you know what's so cool? Their body posture changes. They have a new light in their eyes because we're not talking about pain all the time. What's your pain? I've had patients say, could you stop asking me about my pain or whether I can tie my shoelaces? I don't care about that. What are we going to do today? And I've actually stopped some of these things consistently because when they get on this bandwagon, they're a different human being. So this is what we are saying. We're doing all levels. This is how I see it. At the very bottom is chemistry. That's the least energy power, chemical potentials. I do teach them about how to regulate the vagus nerve. And then we go rapidly into the subtle energy, which drives the vagus nerve anyway. So we want to do the subtle energy pump, and then intention matters. Okay. And then as you do the intention piece, energy is released that drives the subtle energy pump that drives chemistry. That's how the energy is flowing in nature from high to low. That's it. This is all the levels in one slide. So this is high stakes. And I'm going to tell you, some people get derailed. I can't focus. Am I doing it right? I don't know what to intend. This came up. I had one patient say, I feel guilty. I'm intending too many things. Is it too much? I said, dream big and dream wild. Make it big. Bigger and bigger and bigger is better. Because Tiller, he didn't say a little bit of pH or a little bit of this or a little bit of that. He went for the ball. He went for the touchdown. He went for the moonshot. So if it was easy, it wouldn't be revolutionary, okay? But what I have found is that when people in this course, they become strategic in all areas of their life. Financial, home buying, it's amazing in how they advise their children in their college. It's amazing. It's really becoming very strategic because they realize, hey, I came into this for my RA, but all of these things are opening up. Their awareness becomes expanded, not just RA. Ooh, this is their bandwidth now. This is wonderful. So their consciousness is not here. Their subconscious is much bigger and feeding them kernels that they can act on. So coming back to that figure in rheumatology, genes, environment, and immune regulation, what we are now doing in doing all levels is intention and field effects must be considered in healing. This must be part of the equation. And if you leave these out, it'll always be incomplete. We will always have another perturbation in our, in our lives. another event. But once we know intention and field effects, our consciousness field, we are in charge. We really are in charge. We're not sort of bouncing here and bouncing there. So we are our own light, okay? And this is what happened. And in fact, this person actually wrote me an email, and she said, I can let go of the bullshit in my life. I let go of the BS, and the course has changed my life. You know, she couldn't walk 2 years ago. She came into this course, you know, this year, and she's now on 1 milligram of prednisone. 1 milligram of prednisone. My life is radiant. I hike miles, I swim, I'm out in nature. They're not indoors wearing masks all the time. Look at what happened. This was amazing. This young woman, I met her on a telemedicine visit a few years ago, and I invited her. I said, I haven't seen you in a few years, but she has rheumatoid so severe, she was in a wheelchair. She's 45 years old. And I, said, I'm going to set you up with a rheumatologist in Minnesota because I can't see you there. And I invited her back. And wouldn't you know it, she said, this, Dr. Manek, every time I would inject my medicine, I was terrified. I was scared. She would open the fridge and see her refrigerated medicine and say, I would close the door. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. In the course, I give a spiritual lesson, how to release the fear around these things, okay? Because it's there. And once she did that, she says, I was saying this like a mantra. She says, I can take my medicine, and here's the real miracle. She was taking Humira every 2 weeks. It's now every 7 weeks. Something released. It wasn't just her fear of medicine. Something else started to percolate throughout. That information is information percolated throughout her consciousness and her body. One said, I am just happy. Okay, we'll take that. There is so much important information in this course. And it's not just diets. This lady was exploring diets and supplements and diets and fasting and supplements. This diet, that diet, gluten-free, and it's all fine. If you want to do it, it's fine. But I think once you add the subtle energy piece, doing all levels, and intention, you're going to up your game. You just are. And one lady was just amazing. She says, I sort of recognize these lessons. She's an older lady, and she says, I'm healing myself. Heal thyself, know thyself, and take charge. She says, I can heal myself. So this is really, really heartwarming. One said to me, with your lecture on subtle energies, because subtle energies is here, but we are surrounded by energy. You have to take note of that. And she did that. She said, I surveyed my home. I started to make changes, even in the light bulbs. I feel lighter. I feel different. She feels different in her body. This is it. That's information. Another one said, I didn't know how spirit and all of these things fit together, but now I see chemistry, energy, intention, and there's greater levels of energy. All is anchored in nature. I am part of nature. And so when they started to get this more and more, because you repeat this, you go week 2, week 3, we're going to go back to that nature, back to energy. How do you feel now? How do you feel now? And for some, all how those pieces fit together was such a relief, because they kept spirituality in Sunday. Okay, you go to church and you do spirituality there, and that's it. You wear your Sunday best, and that's where you go. And now it was a daily practice. It was a daily part of their life. So one of the things I give, and I know this is hard for people to say, hey, I'm not like Tiller with 20, 30 years of meditation, but it is scripture. When you are singular in your decision, your whole body will be full of light. You will be a teacher. You will be a light unto others. And you know what? You light up their light. We're each other's teachers. We're not separate. We cannot be like that. So once we all raise our consciousness that we all take this on board, then we help each other. We help the human society as a whole. So this is one of my meditations in the course. So I just want to say thank you, Judy. I don't know. Okay, just before 6. Woohoo! Thank you very, very much. And I'm really happy to take questions, and I actually will stop the share. Judy, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank
It's
you.
okay.
If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat or raise your hand. I was thinking about, while you were speaking about Jerry Jin, our chairman, and you said that you work with him a lot, or you kept in touch with him, because when you were speaking, I was thinking about, you talk about this daily practice and the word integrative, right? It's integrating these parts that we have separated out. You said, the separation is an illusion, and that integrative medicine, that's kind of our work right now, is right to get over that illusion of separation and reintegrate all of this. And I love that. Deb wants to see the last slide about your contact information again.
Oh, I think it's on fmbr.org. And Nisha Manek, MD. Does one need an Eamon circuit or just use your hands? You can, Donna, you can just use your hands. So again, okay, left hand behind the nape of the neck, right hand at the sacrum, just at the tailbone, and put your left ankle over your right. That's it. And actually, I feel it right away. I don't do this in lectures because I would yawn and go to sleep. Really. It's very nice. It changed my book writing, because that's what I would do to recharge. Yeah.
Anne wanted to know if the course that you're doing is mainly for people with rheumatoid arthritis. It feels, I know because that's your work, right? But it feels more universal than that.
It is more universal than that, because, honestly, like I said, the spillover effect into all aspects of your life. That's why I said I dedicate this to people who want more out of life. But I start with health because it's so core to our well-being, to our society. We think health insurance, we think about our diet, we think about our breakfast. That's how we live, okay? But honestly, this is really this is ripe, I'll say, Judy, to be crafted into a more general course. Because once you have these 5 keys to wellness, they're yours forever. They're yours forever. You don't need a script. You don't need prescriptions. And I would predict, like my patient came off of her medicine, she's now on a bit of prednisone, or the other young woman who's now taking Humira every 7 weeks. I thought, are you sure? She says, And her rheumatologist in Minneapolis said, and in fact, he says, why don't we just take you off of it? And now she has the opposite thing. Oh, I think I should just stay on one every 2 months. It was very interesting how the shift is going on. And so she's evolving. Yes. Maybe she will come off. So you see, we're not static. Yeah.
I love that. Carol wanted to know if Bridging in Science and Spirit was by Bill Tiller. It's not. It's
by me. And what I did was really focus on William Tiller's science, because Tiller was way ahead of his time. And he talked in a very physics language. No one could understand it. Really, people used to complain, we don't know what Bill talks about. But he was really the epitome of science and spirit together. He lived his life like that. There was no separation for him at all. And that was a big gift, to be with him, to be with a mind like that as a mentor. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Carol wants to know the copper shields, the Eamon circuit. Are there any other holds suggested, or is just the one? Like
Any other? Oh no, just that's it. That's it.
That's it.
You're connecting to the polarities on the surface. The polarities is like a magnet, north, south pole. You want to connect the two, you'll get electricity. Same phenomena. You're part of nature. Remember that. So that's all you're doing. You're recharging your internal batteries. And once your battery is full, chemistry is more efficient. You're more efficient. Okay. And
So
you will keep going. Yeah.
Donna Lee wants to know if the Eamon circuit recharges, is that contradictory to use at night, especially if insomnia is a problem? Is that recharging?
No, what happens is, and this is a great question. Will it make you wake up? No, I think it regulates you and your brain chemistry to more circadian rhythms. I want you to try it. And by the way, I'm trying to think how to do this because I recently put a newsletter out, Judy, and I think shortly after that you wrote to me about subtle energies.
Yes.
And I had 2 resources in there because people write and say, well, I do this, but I would like in rheumatoid, if they have wrist pain, they say, I can't hold this for 10 minutes. I want the copper circuit. So I had 2 resources in that newsletter, and I can send you that. And I think also the book has, you could easily Google Eamon's relaxation circuit and 2 or 3 companies will come up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Carol wanted to know if the copper shield's necessary, but it's no, because you
don't need it actually. Yeah. It's more efficient with copper because copper is such a good conductor of electricity. And these are minute currents, but I'll tell you, I was going, okay, I went, oh my gosh, I could probably light a light bulb, but then I'm very high energy. Somebody says, can you say which leg? Yeah, the left crosses over the right.
Always.
Left crosses over the right. Yes, yes, yes.
And where to buy them? I think you just said just Google. There's a couple.
Yeah, and there's no model. It's just a copper mesh. You could buy these. The only thing I would say is if you want to make your own, make sure it's pure copper and make sure you clean it with kosher salt, dry, sun-dried, so it's got all kind of gunk off of it because it's a conductor. You're really putting this on your body. And I've had that ballet dancer in Canada. She also did silk screen. She bought pure silk and made silk ones. It's less potent than the copper, but it works. Yeah, she said, hey, I'm using silk. And I said, yeah, it would work. It's a conductor. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay, one more question. Okay, that's what Jerry just said. There are other natural substances that can be used.
E.g. silk, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Oh, that's
but subtle energies is very, very powerful. And once you start doing that, I guarantee you'll start to become aware of what you're eating. And I'll tell you, inflammation is not just what you eat or smoke. I can tell you the most frequent time that I, as a physician, got phone calls was around, guess which season? Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay. The people were stressed, and they were actually really even worried about having their family over. I don't think I can stand them. This was going on. I mean, I hear all of this. Yeah. And so they would be having inflammation. So our thoughts, emotions, foods, what we hear, what we see, what we take in. I'll even tell you this. Polyester, what you're wearing, fibers that are manufactured, nylon. I wouldn't wear nylon. No polyester. Yes, go through your wardrobe.
Because it's not a conductor, or because it
not only that, it drains your batteries, your subtle energies. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done this with foods too. If I go and I eat certain things, I can tell. Now I just look at it. I know this isn't for me, unless you bless it or do other things to it, which also I teach in the course, because your consciousness is very powerful. When you become single-minded, now you are in charge. something out there is not in charge of you. But over time, I have become to recognize that certain things, GMO is not good for Nisha. I mean, I don't care what the science says, it's not good for me. I avoid it. I avoid sweet corn. I avoid soybeans. I avoid soybean oil, canola. I don't eat those things. And I'm much better for it. So you'll start to know, oh, I don't think I feel right when I eat this or that or this or that. And you'll become more, let me just say, expert in your life, how you're consuming things.
Right. And how you're navigating these energies, right? These situations. So Deborah,
Yes.
Deborah just put in the Q&A, she's a homeopath.
Mhm.
She said, we have a problem with rats. I thought, what is the enemy of the rat? It's the cat. So I mentally projected the milk of the cat to the place where we found rat poop, and it seems to be working.
Yes.
The rats are responding
Yes.
to the mental message, and they seem to be gone. This shows the power.
Exactly right. That's what I do. I say, silverfish, leave my library alone.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single one.
No books. Yeah. And then she said she mentally projected chamomilla to a screaming baby on an airplane, and the baby stopped screaming. And she's done it many times.
Yes. She is gifted. Gifted.
She is gifted. She is
Yes,
gifted.
she's very gifted.
So
what would happen if you crossed the right ankle over the left? I wouldn't try it. You will short circuit and you will feel more tired. You actually get more tired. Yes.
Oh, interesting. Sylvia Parker said, is the picture of the pose shown to share with my mom? I'm not sure what that,
I think she meant the Eamon's pose.
Yeah.
And again, you know what,
to
Judy, I'll send you the newsletter.
Okay.
It's like a PDF, and then you, by all means, post it. But I do recommend Bridging Science and Spirit because you get such a beautiful overview of how this bridge fits together, and you get more out of it by just understanding how each progression of knowledge. Yeah.
So is the 5-week course on the rheumatoid arthritis, is that something that's available for people to do on their own time, or is that something?
Yes, that's such a great question, because the 5-week course, I would literally record on my own. And because I was seeing, where are these folks? There were 15 of them. 2 of them one had Parkinsonism, and her shaking has gone. Her hand was like a claw. It's now opened up. She's so excited. I said, well, tell your neurologist. I don't think you may not need your medicines. So, the course was each week by week, and I would see what's going on with the group and then record the second one. And I realized I have to give them a little bit more about these subtle energies. What's going on with the screens? What's coming up in your subconscious meditations? And so on. So one thing I told the participants, and I would share with your group, start your intention book, okay? And that's what Tiller Tony says, get a book, Nisha. Start writing your wishes down. And I have a whole stack of them now. And I look at the things, and it all comes true. It's so uncanny. It's so uncanny.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell my patients, have faith. Have faith. And like this lady, I let go of the bullshit. Okay. It finally dawned on me. I was holding on to bullshit. And she said, thank you, because I could finally let go of it and not feel guilty, Yeah.
That's amazing. So are you going to write a scientific paper about this and publish it?
This is such a great question. I presented it to rheumatologists and the Florida Society of Rheumatology, and they're all very excited, but I'll tell you this, it's not a randomized controlled trial. There's no control groups. Whenever you do subtle energy and consciousness work, it doesn't make sense to have a control group. They're their own controls. They're their own controls. They know where they were at baseline. I know where they were. They couldn't walk. They were in a wheelchair, whatever it was. I know what happened. And I've come to the point of peacefulness inside that I'm just going to run with this because it's time. We're already too late, Judy.
Yeah.
We're already too late. And I wanted to do this when I first learned about Tiller's work, and we healed a patient of mine. The case report is in the book, Bridging Science and Spirit. I realized oh my God, we saved this man's life. We saved millions of dollars of healthcare expenses.
Right.
We need to be doing this like ages ago. Who is going to do it?
Yeah.
Who is going to do it?
Right.
And I'll tell you, Judy, I'm lucky that way. I walked away from all of this structure and I do it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, I see patient. I told you I do my own telemedicine and this is how I practice. I say, well, what gives meaning to your life? What is really happening right now? Because there's something more. And your body language is showing me it. And they go, okay, Dr. Manek, it's like this, and then we talk about it. And that is also human connection because we are all stories. Every human is a story. And medicine was beautiful stories, Judy. When I went in London where I trained, I hate the word trained because we were you're sort of beaten over the head. You're trained. But really, it was about a story. You go to the bedside and you start noticing clues about their shades, about their eyesight, about their bedpan. You look everywhere. You're getting clues about stories, about people. And you know what? They want to connect with you. They want to know about you too. And that was the beauty about medicine. I think we've lost a lot. And that is very tragic for me. As for me, that was the whole reason to be in the science. And I think
sorry, I would just say that's why a lot of the MDs or the doctors and nurses are burnt out because they don't have that connection either.
We don't have connection. We're really a billing machine.
Mm-hmm.
We're expert billers, you check this box and that box and this. And I do it too. But I am so much happier now. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Tiller Science made me love science all over again. And also to bring that spiritual, because that was what was so core in my own life. And how do you bring the two? That they're inseparable. Once you do spiritual work, it comes, so.
That's that is lovely. And I think that's the key. That's probably where a good place to end it. It's inseparable.
They're inseparable. Yes.
It's all, we are one. And I love what you talked about kind of going big and dreaming of a life that you want and using intention to move in that direction is just lovely.
Yeah. And guess what? RA has no power over you. Right. Because you walk through the veil. You walk through it no matter what. There's the fear. And when it comes up, they now notice it. Oh, I say, well, look, your old friend is back. Oh, look. Yeah. So there's no judgment, but rather a joyfulness that let me just, this is my life and I'm recreating it on my own terms.
Oh, love that. Because we're creators.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Such a wonderful, as always, wonderful presentation. Just so engaging and so hopeful.
Yes.
I just love that. So thank you. We'll see you again. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a good evening. And Philip, have a great day.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Right. Thank you.